Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks for watching. In this video, we're going to be talking about this pistol right here. This is the Girsan Witness Match X. So let's get to it. So this pistol is imported by EAA. It's the Girsan Match X, Witness Match X, and it is a clone of the Staccato XC. So basically what they're doing, this company Girsan, it's a manufacturer in Turkey. They're getting these patents that have expired, and then they are building their version of some of these pistols. So here we have the Staccato XC clone. So this priced at around $1,100, depending on where you're ordering it from. So far, the look and the feel of it, it's pretty solid. So it is a aluminum frame, which is a little bit different from some of these other 2011 pistols. Typically they're going to be steel, so that's something where I'm not sure longevity, how that's going to hold up. That's the only factor that I'm kind of worried about at this point. Something that I was originally worried at was some of the videos that I saw, and I ordered this and then I saw some of these videos where they were having issues with the ejection and they were getting rounds stuck in the chamber. So spent cases stuck in the chamber. And what they were showing was that the slide wasn't paired up very well with the frame and it had a lot of wiggle to it. This doesn't have hardly any wiggle whatsoever. So the mating of these two pieces, the slide and the frame, they improved upon that. So something that I did notice in those videos was it didn't have this X on the fixed comp right here. So I'm wondering if that was the first generation and they had some issues, but then they improved it on this, which is the second generation. So if you were looking to buy one of these, make sure it has that X on that fixed comp. Now, some people call this an island comp. The front sight post comp is kind of what the XC has, but the sight is actually like mounted into the barrel and would stick out right here on the comp. So I prefer to just call it a fixed comp. I don't know where people got the island comp from. Does that look like an island? I don't know what that means. But I'm calling it a fixed comp because I don't like calling it an island. Another difference that we are seeing, I just mentioned it, that front sight comp, that's not attached to it. It's actually attached to the slide. Then we have the lightning cuts right here. Those are very, very similar. I think that on the XC, these look a little bit better. There's a little bit more detail where they kind of do a double cut in here a little bit. But overall, the actual feel of that and the ability to grip it and charge is phenomenal. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think just aesthetically, the XC was just done a little bit better, had a little bit more detail to it. And then you have the rear cuts right here, which if you have an Optic, you're probably not going to be using that very often. But if you don't have an Optic, plenty of grip on those. The front ones are more aggressive. These ones, they're good, but not as much. And now if we're going to some of these parts, all the parts seem to fit very, very well. They seem to be manufactured very well, but I mean, time will tell if they hold up or not. So that is something where we're going, when we're looking at something like this, where it's a budget 2011, one of the ways that they kind of cut costs is these inner parts. So not sure how those are going to hold up. And then I'm not 100% sure on the compatibility of all 2011 parts or the XC, the Staccato XC parts, if those can be integrated into this without any kind of modification. I do know that the assembly, the disassembly of the guide rod and recoil spring is different between the Staccato and the Girsan. So I don't know if we could grab a Staccato guide rod, recoil spring, and slide and put that on there, if it'll fit just fine, or if it's going to have issues. So not sure how compatible all the parts are, but generally 2011 parts, all this back end stuff should all fit. So if we have any issues with that, we should be able to replace it with better parts if needed. But as of right now, everything looks good. Everything snaps into place. Everything's moving the way it should. There's nothing that's like super loose. There's nothing that's wobbling or anything like that. So everything seems to be on here fairly well, and the fit and finish seem to be right where they should be. Now let's get to the grip here. So we do have, I mean, the 1911-2011 grip safety right there, which, I mean, that's common. This seems pretty standard, nothing special about that. But the grip here for the 2011, basically this whole entire unit will come off, including the trigger guard and trigger. That can just come off, and then you can put new ones on. This one here, it is polymer, which is not unusual for 2011s. You can get some aluminum grips that adds to the weight and, you know, are better. This is polymer. I do think it's nice, but it reminds me of just kind of your kind of general 1911 grips. There's nothing special about it. It's kind of just the old classic, nothing really new, nothing improved. The texturing here is pretty good. It's fairly aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive. I kind of liked it. So if that is something that you want to switch out, you can do it. But I mean, we're looking another $300 to $600 to change this out, depending on which one you go for. But in general, it works just fine. It feels fine. And then if you're ever wearing gloves, you probably aren't going to feel a difference really anyway. We do have a magazine well right here. It is also plastic. You can replace this with any other type of 2011 magazine well if that's what you want. Again, this serves its function. Everything works the way it should be. So there's no need to replace it unless you just want to start getting a little bit fancier, or if you're wanting to try to add a little bit of extra weight down here, which if you're shooting competition or if you're trying to shoot really fast, that might be beneficial to you. Now, you just kind of saw me. I was magazine release. Everything is pretty crisp. There's no parts that are sticking or feeling awkward. They're all fitting together very well. And I do have a couple different magazines. So I have one from EAA. It's a Girsan magazine. I believe it's Girsan, or it's just EAA for 2011. I do also have the Mec-Gar, and then these came with the pistol. These are Checkmate. All of them have functioned flawlessly. So I'm happy with all of them. So that was something where you do run into that somewhat often with the 1911-2011 platform, where you'll have a type of magazine brand that just doesn't work very well. These all seem to be working very well. So I'll keep you updated if anything changes on that. All right, let's go ahead and go to the trigger now. The trigger is very good. So they're saying it is a 4.5 pound trigger, and it does feel like that's what we're getting here. But as it wears in, it's probably going to lighten up a little bit. I feel like it is really good, not compared to the actual Staccato here, which is a full, $4,500 pistol. This one goes for about $1,100. So let's see. So just a little bit of squish right there. So right there's the wall. Ooh, coming back just a little bit. There it goes. Okay. So yeah, pretty good. And then let's go and check out the reset here. I don't like having the hammer hit on that firing pin when I don't have a snap cap in there or something, which I should just grab the snap cap. So I'm kind of retarded. So very good trigger. I did get a chance to shoot this next to the SIG GTO 211 and the Staccato XC, and I didn't notice much of a difference between the triggers. The two guys that I was with, those were their guns, and they are both experienced competition shooters, and they both felt like they could notice the difference in trigger. I didn't so much, but they said that they could. And we actually did some data where we put a Mantis on each one of them, and all three of us shot them, and we saw what the averages were, and they were really close. So we're kind of splitting hairs. I'll go ahead, I'll put a link in the description to that video as well, because we kind of talk about it and just have a good conversation in general about all three pistols. So compared to the SIG 211 and the Staccato XC, this was somewhat comparable and did a very good job next to them. Pretty much my only complaint with it is going to be the optic footprint. So this is an RMSc, so it's designed for smaller optics. I have on here, I have the O-Sight SE, so it's an enclosed optic. And it is a decent optic. I'm really liking it a lot. It's pretty cheap, and I'm making another video of that on that. But the RMSc footprint allows for the smaller optics. This is a full-size pistol. You're going to be probably trying to do some faster shooting. You might do competition with it. We want a bigger optic on here, generally. Some people may like the smaller one, but I would like to have the option of both. So since we're at an RMSc, we are limited to the optic size. Now, the only one that I know of, and maybe comment below if you know of any more, that have an RMSc footprint, but are actually a larger viewing window on the optic. So the only one I know of is the Gideon, I think the Judge XL. That one has the RMSc footprint, but has the larger viewing window. So that's probably one that I'm going to get. I do have the adapter plate, but that just means it's going to raise up my optic, my RMR optic, up a little bit higher, which means I won't be able to co-witness the rear and the back sight. Now, I guess putting it on here, it does not have the rear sight. So you remove the rear sight in order to get the optic on here. So if you are wanting to co-witness something, you do need to get an optic that does have the rear sights built in right there. Otherwise, you're just going to have the front sight post. And the front sight post itself, it's a fiber optic, which these do tend to work themselves out while you're shooting. This one has held up pretty well. I've put about 500 rounds through it, and it seems to be staying in pretty well. Now, when we get into the case here, it does come with a fairly good case. So, comes with that. Came with 2 magazines, one 17 round and then one 20 round. And then I had to cut out an opening for my optic. And let's see, where did there it is. And so this is the rear sight that it comes with. So it's just a blacked out rear sight. It is adjustable. It isn't anything fancy. Okay, but that goes on right here. You remove it, and then your optic is able to go in. Okay. Now, something I will say, it does come with 2 recoil springs. Now, the instructions that it comes with are not very good. They are instructions for the regular 1911 or 2011, not the fixed comp version, which is disassembly is different and it has different parts. So the instruction, the manual was no good for me. So I had to figure things out. But it does come with additional recoil springs. So this one says for a 115 grain projectile. And that's what I actually have in here right now. This is the one that came in it, and the manual did not tell me what it came with. Maybe it did and I didn't read it. Because when I was looking through it, I was like, these parts are all different. I kind of just chucked the manual at that point. So maybe it does say it in the manual, but I don't know what spring this is for. I'm assuming that it is going to be for the heavier grain, so 124 grain, something like that. This is the recoil takedown pin. It looks like an little Allen wrench. It is not. So don't throw this away thinking that you have all the Allen keys and wrenches that you need. This is specifically for this. This is how you disassemble it. If you lose this, man, you're going to be up a creek. So don't lose it. Don't think that it's an Allen key and you're going to get rid of it, which is what I thought, and I almost threw it away. Luckily, I did not. Now, with the frame is aluminum, which that's where I'm like, I'm not sure how long that's going to last. I'm not sure if it's going to wear in faster, if parts are going to loosen up because of that. I'm not 100% sure, so time will tell. I do like the cut and the finish of it. it has this full length accessory Picatinny rail. I have seen some people complain about this rail, saying that it's not to spec because they can't fit the light that they want on it and it doesn't sit flush. It like sticks out a little bit, or it doesn't go all the way, and so it sticks out. You have to have it further up because it won't go all the way back. That's it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's not what out of spec means. If it were out of spec, that means that you wouldn't be able to attach the optic on there because something is off with the machining here, or the spacing, the shape, whatever it is, where it's like, oh, my accessory won't fit on it at all. It's out of spec. I can't. It just doesn't fit. It's either too small or too big, and I can't. It won't stay on, or it won't even go on, or it won't clip into the rail cuts because the cuts are too thin or something like that, which Palmetto State Armory's Jackal is like that. So I don't think it's out of spec. It's just this certain length doesn't accommodate every single light that you want. So some will stick out a little bit, some won't need to, some that are shorter will be fine. The longer ones, maybe it's going to stick out more. That doesn't, to me, doesn't mean it's out of spec. I mean, they're not designing this to be like, it needs to match up with this specific modeled flashlight. Otherwise, it's out of spec. No, I don't think that's how it goes. So far, I am liking it. I am impressed. I have not had a single malfunction with it so far. I'm about 500 rounds in, and I am really enjoying this pistol. So that's going to do it for now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you later. Hold on. I just dented my wall. Did it look cool though?